Welcome back to Frank's Model Aviation Workshop. This is episode 2 in the Carl Goldberg Sukhoi SU26MX build series. This is the second gen kit. I don't know if I mentioned that in the first video. The landing gear are mounted on the fuse instead of the wing, so I guess that's a better position. I agree. But in this episode we are going to build the vertical fin and rudder, and we will be hinging and beveling and rounding in this episode. So if you like this type of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that notification bell so that you can be notified of future episodes of this build series. And be sure and like and share my videos. It just might help somebody get their plane finished and in the air. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is lay down some wax paper. You want to make sure your work surface is free of dust and anything that'll keep you from building a flat vertical fin. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to take this 1/4 by 5/16 sticks, and we're going to go around and make the frame. So what I like to do, as usual, I square off one end, and I'm building to the outside of that black line. And I'm gonna, since this one's the top, I'm going to leave it a little bit longer because that's just the way I like to do it. Same with the bottom. Then I will sand it to the exact size. Always use a straight edge to ensure that your trailing edge of that fin is exactly perfectly straight. Okay, so now we will make this piece here, and it'll be the first piece we glue. And don't really need to pin it, but I'll pin it anyway. So the next piece I'm going to glue right here. I'm using my sandpaper or my T-bar as a guide for that angle. That's pretty daggum close. I don't like it. Want to make sure you're right where you want to be before you glue it, because once that's in there, it's not going anywhere. Next we'll cut this leading edge piece. Okay, next we will cut this piece. And I always cut it a little long, as you can see here. That way I can sand this end to make it fit perfectly. Right on. So I think I'm going to use thin CA right here. The reason being is it's going to be sheeted, so it's not necessary to have it. I mean, it is necessary to have it glued solid, but this will be good enough. Now we're going to put these pieces in 1/8 by 1/4. That is almost perfect. So I'm going to go through and put a reinforcement bead on all these edges or corners or joints, whatever you want to call them. Except down here, because that's where they're going to go over top of the stabilizer. Alright, we'll let that set up, then we'll take it off, true it up, and move on to sheeting. Okay, the parts have cured overnight. Actually, it's been more like 3 days, but I'm going to go ahead and unpin these. We will true up all the edges to where it fits the outline of that fin perfectly. Then I'm going to seam up some balsa wood and get these covered. And I'll show you, because it's going to take, I think it might take more than one sheet to do this. I'll show you how I'm going to seam them up to where I can use 2 sheets and still get all of it covered. Take my 220 and we will flatten both sides or smooth them out, and then we'll start to trim it up. You just want to sand enough until all these edges are smooth. Okay, so now I'm going to true up this top edge and this post here, which shouldn't be too much work. I'm going to start by cutting that with the saw. Then I'm going to use my permagrit to finish it up. All right, now we'll adjust that post just a hair. A little bit at a time, you don't want to overdo it. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. So that is now trimmed. Might smooth out that leading edge just a little bit. That's better. Okay, that is as good as I'm going to get it, or as good as I want it. So now we're going to take our sheeting, and the way I'm going to start to do this, I'm going to take a sheet, and we're going to use as much of it as possible. And I'm going to give it some leeway here. So I want to cut this much off. And I'm going to mark to the inside. So that way I know that's the inside. So we're going to take the next sheet. We'll put it under here. basically like this. And as you can see right here, I'm going to have to add a little piece, so I'll show you what we're going to do. So I'm going to continue these marks here. We're going to cut this piece off, and we're going to cut that piece off. So we're going to take this piece, flip it around, and glue it on this side. Always cut big, because you never know, you might need. See, this will be flipped around like this. Boop. So that'll give me my tick marks. We will rough cut all that after we get it seamed together. So as usual, we're going to trim these edges with a straight edge and then sand them. So let's test fit to see what it looks like. This is just from cutting. I haven't sanded them yet. It's gonna be nice. So, as usual, I'm prepping my fingers. So we got it lined up. Press down. And on this one, I'm not going to sand until I get the whole sheet made. Now we'll take our 220 and sand that smooth. So now we will glue this on, making sure we stay within our boundaries. And we're only gluing this. We don't do any gluing of the post. Glue come up through the pinhole. Gotta make sure I sand that down. Okay, so now I'm going to trim this first around the perimeter. And this edge, I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a T-pin, stick it in the corner here. And stick it down here. That'll give me a line to cut on, and I'll put a new blade in. You want to be careful when you cut this too, because you don't want to cut through the posts. So I'm just going to lightly cut it until it comes free. And that is one side. Now we will seam up the next set and we will get them glued on. Okay, there we have it. Fins skinned and ready to be trued up on the edges. We'll set up and do that real quick. Okay, so I went ahead and trued it up off camera because I've already shown how to do that a number of times. These will be epoxied in place once that time comes. Alright, so now we are going to put some wax paper back on this plan and build the rudder. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is pin in place this 3/8 square piece, and I already got that marked with an X because I already squared it off, and I'm going to cut it long. I'm also going to put my rudder top on so that I can get it just where I want it. So let's mark this and cut it. So you know what we're going to do now. Straight edge. See how that, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's a very small amount of movement there, so I want to put a pin in the middle here somewhere. Maybe 2 places. And it won't work. Okay. Now I'll place this, but I want to cut this piece, and that piece is, I believe it's 5/16, but yeah, because it's not measured. It's 5/16 by 3/8. You always want to like put it in place and put your other piece in. See how much you got to trim off. Almost. There, perfect. I like it a lot. So now we'll glue this piece in, and it'll sit there perfectly. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Made this slightly long here so I can sand that smooth. It'll be nice and perfect. Want to always try to get that glue off there as soon as possible, otherwise it gets really hard to sand. I'm putting 3 pins in this piece. Not there. I don't want to do that. I feel like it's going to break. Let's see. If it breaks, we'll just glue it back together. Okay, perfect. Now, we'll glue this rudder bottom on. a slight adjustment to this. So let's see, it needs well, I got lucky there. All right, so I'm going to glue this piece on. Okay, the next step is to glue in the trussing, basically like this. And then the rudder post or the rudder rear bows around it. So we'll just continue on doing that. You know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to glue this in first. And I'll show you what I'm going to do here. Plan says to glue these trusses in, then finish off the trussing, and then glue this in. But I can accomplish that same task by doing what I'm getting ready to do here. I'll first start by putting a pin in here. I think I'm going to do the strongest or the hardest wood with the main trusses, the straight ones. Okay, so that's that. way off. Perfect. I think I'm going to go ahead and glue it to this now. I'm cutting this really long. Mainly because I don't want to cut the wax paper and glue the fin to the plan. Alright, now I'm going to continue gluing them trusses in. Okay, now that we got all of that in place, we're going to go through, like we did before, and place a reinforcement bead on all the joints. So we will let this set up, and tomorrow morning we'll unpin it and get it flat sanded, smooth, and then we will straighten this edge out. And what I like to do is take the fin up against it to get it just perfect. Looks good though. And a lot of these are setting up high, so they'll sand nice and smooth. And they are setting flat on the board, so they're not raised up, which is something you worry about. But it looks good. I'm happy with it. We'll let that dry overnight, and then we will get to finish sanding this. Well, not finish sanding it, but sand it to the correct perimeter. This thing is going to be sweet. I can't wait to get this thing done. Maybe we can get 2 maidens in this season if I can get this done before it gets cold again. We'll see. Okay, it's now time to unpin the rudder. Now break out the old 220. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. It's nice and smooth. Both sides. Okay, so now I'm going to address the perimeter. Okay, so for this procedure, we're going to take the fin and trim up all the stuff that's protruding. Actually, I'm going to use the T-bar sander, not the fin. See, if you try to sand with the fin like this, not only are you going to put grooves in your fin here, but you get a chance on breaking your trusses. So I'm just going to hold it down and use the T-bar sander to do my adjusting. This is where you just use the fin to test fit this area. And that's, dang, it looks good. Let's do a little test fitting against the plan. You know, I think I'm gonna stop there. Okay, so I didn't get any of that. So what I wanted to show you is, next step, we're going to slot and hinge for the gap. We'll slot and hinge the rudder elevators and get these taped together firmly, strapped through here, 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 and maybe down here. So I can go ahead and get this perimeter here perfect on the stabilizer, elevator, and fin and rudder. So I'm gonna get set up and we will start the hinging process. So how many of you guys remember the old Goldberg centerline tool? I probably got a dozen of these things. So we're going to set up. I'm going to, it says to mark the locations onto the elevator and then put my gap, and then, well, this is the rudder and fin, but you know what I mean. So we're going to line this up on the plan and we'll mark the hinge locations. I'm going to use a gel pen. That pen don't write with a crap. I didn't want to use felt tip. And this is a general location because I do them wide so that I can make sure that I can have room to slide the CA hinge back and forth. So it's just a rough estimate. So now, like I said earlier, on the on the fin or on the stab, I only put the center line right where I want the hinge. I don't want that center line the whole way down. So I like to draw a center line down my CA hinges. That way I know where to stick my pins. So when I go to stick them in the surface, it'll be centered. So I'm going to kind of work in this general area. Let's see, that's better. Because it's too hard to get you in here close to show you what I'm doing. So all I'm doing is slotting and hinging, and I've shown it plenty of times in my videos. So I'm just going to do it over here. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. And you want a really sharp X-Acto. You definitely want to take your time slotting your hinges because they must be centered. You know, we're getting close when we start hinging the control surfaces. Not to finishing the plane, but to finishing the tail. Okay, I got all 4 hinges. This one, I had to resort to a tool to center it up. This is the Dubro. Comes with a bunch of these things. I didn't use these. I just put it on there, and I used just the tip of that thing to score it centered, because for some reason the centerline tool drifted. But now I got it in there centered, and we'll go and do the rudder now. Alright, time to put them together. That's pretty decent. Not bad at all. So now that I got it centered, I'm going to take these pins out. Don't need them anymore. I'll squeeze it together. Make sure I have my gap. So now this is the crucial part, and what I'm going to do with this gap here, I'm going to take and use that balsa wood there. I'm going to try to cut it off as flush as I can. Maybe sand it first. Don't want to sand too much, just enough to. What I want to do is use that balsa wood as my gap keeper. So I'm going to tape really tight around there after I tack rag it, because tape won't stick to sawdust. I'll go tack rag the rest of it. Okay. So first things first, I want to tape and I'm only taping this together for this, just for that section. The rest of this will get rounded untaped. Same goes with the elevator. Okay, so now we're going to mark for the hinge location. Then we'll just turn those around. Basically like that. That's roughly where they're going to be. So I already did the center line on the elevators. I'm going to go ahead and do the center line just where I'm putting the hinge on the stabilizer. Anytime I use these centerline tools, I do it one way and then I flip it the other way like this. That way, if that little nipple there is off center even a little bit, at least it'll get you centered on your control area. Okay, now I'm going to start to cut for the hinges. Well, first what I'm going to do is I get my hinges prepped. And by prepped, I just mean putting my pin in the center line. Now just push them in. So I went ahead and hinged up the stab because I already showed you on the rudder. Got a little booger here from when I grabbed onto that thing so tight. I was trying to get one of these things in, so that'll come out with steam, no biggie. So I'm going to go ahead and hinge up the elevators, and we will get this thing put together. Okay, so we got both the horizontal stab and elevators and vertical fin and rudder taped together with a scrap balsa in there to keep my gap. First thing I'm going to do is we're going to sand this straight, and then we will gradually blend that to match the plan. Same thing with the elevators. We'll do the same thing there. Sand it straight, blend the curve. Then once we're done with that, I'm going to break out the rounding tool, and we're going to round the leading edge just to here, just the front end, just the leading edge on the elevators or on the horizontal stab, just until we get past the gaps. Once we get past the gaps, we no longer need to have these taped together. I'm going to take the control surfaces off, and we will round those off the stabilizer. Not sure what I want to do with the root end here. I'm thinking about leaving it flat because, I don't know, really round this on a, longitudinally to the plane is not going to help it nothing, but like trailing edges makes it more aerodynamic, I guess. So we'll see. I'll get set up, and I'm gonna do all the rounding in fast speed, but we will match up get this all done on camera. So anyway, we'll get set up and do that. Okay, I'm gonna start off with the rudder first, just to get it done. I'm using 80 grit at first, just till I get close, and then I'll switch to the other side. Oh wow, I about got it right where I wanted almost. I'm going to say I'm happy with it. We'll leave her at that. Now we'll go over here and work on the elevators. So let's see how much we got to remove here. Probably going to be a lot. Lining it up with the plan. I think that's going to do it for that side. Yep. Now we'll work on this side. Left side's difficult because I'm right-handed. No way. That's perfect. Okay. So I have it where I want it. Around the leading edge. So now what I'm going to do is I need to draw a center line down this. I think I'll do it like that. And this is going to give me a reference point to sand, don't stand any further than. Okay, so now begins the tedious task of rounding all these edges. First, the leading edge. I'm going to round the leading edge of the vertical stab or horizontal stab and elevator just to about this point, and the rudder and fin to this point, just where it starts to round. Then I'm going to unhinge and finish off the rudder and elevators. What I'm going to probably do is I'm going to switch to like a 220 and just do the old that thing. It might be better than using this thing. I really don't trust it. I don't think it's going to give me a perfect radius like I could get with a sanding bar. So we'll see how it goes. I'll give it a shot, but we'll see. So I'm probably going to do it in fast speed too, because it's going to take forever. So I'll put you in fast speed and we'll get going. Okay, so it didn't take me too long using that rounding tool to switch over to the sanding bar, and it really made a huge difference. Looks like I gouged my sheeting here. Hopefully that's not a filler area. Maybe it's just a dent. I don't know. And it's on the top, dang it. So anyway, I got the leading edges of the fin and the stabilizer. I'm going to switch it back into fast speed. We're going to untape these things and start finishing up the perimeter. Once we're done with that, we're going to bevel for the control surface throws. Not looking too bad so far. This thing is going to be huge. Okay, we have reached the very last step of the tail build. Once we're done with this, we move on to the construction of the wing. So what we got to do, we're going to bevel the control surfaces. And there's two ways that I can do this. Use my plane, but anybody that's ever beveled control surfaces with a balance tab on it, you can't get the plane in there. So what I'm thinking about doing is, I'll bring you in and show you. So like I was saying, if you use the plane, you're going to stop about roughly 1.5 inches before your end. I mean, you can do that. I mean, we can probably do that. Or what I've done in previous models, I'll draw a line, I'll reference the plan for where the the angle starts, which looks like about 3/32 inch from here. So draw a line 3/32 of an inch, and we have the center line drawn, and just sand it with a T-bar until it gets to that line, and we'll do it on the other side, and that'll still get us our angle. And even here, it'll get us a little closer. We'll still have to use like a knife to finish this off. So I think that's what I might do. I'll try the plane first. If it don't pan out like I want it to, we'll switch over to the T-bar method. So first thing I'm going to do, secure the control surface. Probably good enough. And what I like to do, I'll take if I use this, which I really don't like to, but I'll get my angle for the plane, which is about like that, and then you just we'll try that at first. I'll do it in fast speed, and then it may work. Okay, so I used a combination of the plane and some T-bar. Once I got over here, I had just a little tiny bit that I just had to cut out with an X-Acto. I just slid that in there and chopped it off, and it turned out really good. So I think that's what I'm going to do for the rest of them. Well, there we have it. One side done. That turned out beautiful. I hope the rest turned out this good. Okay, there we got it. Both sides done. Now I'm going to move on to the rudder. rudder. Got it all hinged up and beveled. We are now ready to start the wing. Well, that completes the build of the tail surfaces. We got the vertical fin, horizontal stabilizer, elevators, and rudder all complete. Beveled, rounded, sanded. I'm going to wait till the final sanding to fill any dings or dents or fix anything that needs fixed, but we are done with the tail. So the next episode, which will be episode 3, we will start the build of the wing, and it's a big wing. It's 73 inches, I believe. So it's going to be a big project, probably be a number of videos, of course. So I look forward to it. I can't wait because I love to build wings. So anyway, I'm happy with the way the tail turned out. I like the way I did the beveling with the T-bar sanders. I think that's a better way of doing it. You can get real close. You don't have to use a knife, you know, to carve it close. I don't like doing that because that's not that accurate. But I'm happy with the way it's turned out. We'll get these hung on the wall and prep for the wing build. So if you like this type of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that notification bell so that you can be notified of future episodes of this build series. And please like and share my videos. It just might help somebody get their airplane finished and in the air. So until next episode, thanks for watching.